looking at the game, I'm trying to come up with what made a decision to play in the most historical manner that I could. End up with such an ahistorical, not just ending, but whole flow to the game, really. There was a small period where McClellan was seriously worried and wanted to get into a better position, victory point-wise, where moving the train off the map was certainly a good idea. So, I see two big issues that ruled that whole situation. One is McClellan his thinking is not adequately represented in the victory point, in the victory conditions. So, I actually think the McClellan anti-initiatives are kind of fitting. I think he did prevent generals from making attacks on their own. I think they were reprimanded adequately for that people would not take chances. And you can say, well, that's a bad thing from the game point of view, but in a way, it's actually a very good thing. You don't want the military. You don't want your military commanders making a lot of spot decisions in some cases. You do want to leave them a lot more initiative, though, than the anti-initiative accepts. The second one is, well, okay, so with the victory conditions, the anti-initiative doesn't cover it. What you have to do is you have to simulate McClellan's own thinking. And McClellan's thinking was, I have to get off the map. So in a way, there's no game here. There's no way of winning or losing. McClellan should get victory points or should be somehow compensated, or his goal should be to leave the map. Likewise, Lee doesn't care if McClellan leaves. I mean, he loves that idea. So it should be like the historical situation where both sides declared victory, essentially. The second big issue that I have has to do with the actual, the terrain, as it were. The huge map and the fixed location of Richmond. Richmond cannot fall. The Confederates know this. So, it does actually give a certain, there's a historical truth to it. McClellan had the ability to wander wherever he liked. He could have gone up north and met up with McDowell's Corps and given up on this campaign. He could do as he did and move his base south. Or he could stay on the map. Really, without overwhelming numbers, I think Lee taking the offensive here was really too risky. And if he had been facing a competent general, or one who had reasonable numbers, it turns out McClellan got his numbers from Pinkerton, but they included, and they were very accurate, but they included everything. So he was counting troops that just were not present at all and couldn't come up. And then he compared that to his actual battle-ready troops. So supply troops were counted, the North Carolina troops were counted, the Shenandoah troops were counted, other troops anywhere in the area that had ever been able to influence the situation were counted in his numbers. And then against that he says, look, I only have this. I'm outnumbered 2-1. And it just wasn't the case. So, if McClellan were aware of the entire situation, if he were a reasonable general as well, I don't think there's any way Lee's audacious attack could have worked. So, I'm just not sure that this is, as a game, can possibly simulate the thinking and the situation as it stood. Anyway.